My mother grabbed my arm in the middle of the aisle and tried to stop my wedding. For most of my life, my mother, Sheila, decided everything I did. She picked the job I should take, the friends who were good enough, and the men I was allowed to date. She also decided that my paycheck was partly hers. From the day I started working, I paid her rent, her car note, her hair appointments, and her little trips, because she told me a good daughter takes care of her mother, and I believed it. My brother Grant never gave her a cent, and she never asked him to, because Grant was the favorite and I was the wallet. He got loved for free. I had to earn it every month, in installments. Then I met Owen. Owen was kind and steady, and he was the first person who ever asked me why I handed my mother everything I earned. I did not have an answer for him. That question sat in me for a year. My mother hated him from the start, not for anything he did, but because he was the first man who did not treat her as the boss of me. He is going to take you away from me, she said the week we got engaged. He only wants your money. You watch. When I told her Owen made more than I did, she switched to, then he wants you away from your family so he can control you. There was no version of the story where Owen was allowed to be good. She spent the whole engagement trying to run the wedding and run me. She rewrote my guest list twice. She told me that after the wedding, Owen and I would be living close to her and helping with her bills, because marriage does not cancel what you owe your mother. When I said we were buying a place across town, she went quiet for a week, then started telling relatives I was abandoning her. At the last planning dinner, she announced that, as the mother of the bride, the first dance should be hers and not Owen's, and when I said that was not how it worked, she told me I had gotten selfish since I met him. Owen said the first dance was ours. She did not speak to him again the rest of the night. A few days before the wedding, she cornered me in her hallway and said, I want Owen to promise, out loud, that I come first, that my needs come before his. If he loves you, he will agree to it. I told her nobody was going to promise that. She smiled and said, we will see. I should have known she meant it. On the day of the wedding, I started down the aisle alone, because my father was gone and I wanted to walk it myself. Everyone was standing. Owen was waiting at the front with his hands folded. I got about halfway down when my mother rose out of the front row, stepped into the aisle in front of me, and closed her hand around my arm. The music trailed off. People began to murmur. She held on and turned to face the room. Wait, she said, loud enough for the back rows. Before this goes any further, everyone here should know something. My daughter promised she would always take care of me first. Her whole life, I came first. Then she looked at Owen. So I need to hear you say it right now, in front of all these people. She comes to me first. My needs come before yours. Say it, or she does not take one more step. I stood there with her fingers digging into my arm and 100 people watching. She squeezed harder and lowered her voice just for me. You owe me. After everything I gave up for you, you owe me this. Tell him, or you stay right here with your mother. Owen did not move from the altar and did not say one word she wanted. For a second, I felt the old pull, the one that had made me hand her every paycheck for years, the one that always ended with me giving in so she would stop. She was certain it would work. It had always worked. But standing in that aisle in my dress with the whole room waiting, I looked down at her hand, and I peeled her fingers off my arm one at a time. No, Mom, I said. Not this time. I stepped around her and kept walking. She grabbed for me again and hissed, you will regret this. You do not get to choose him over me. I did not stop. My Aunt Elise got up from her seat, took my mother gently by the shoulders, and guided her back down into her chair while I walked the rest of the way to Owen. He took my hand. We got married. My mother sat in the front row with her arms crossed and her mouth tight the entire time. At the reception, she cornered Owen by the cake and told him he had humiliated her. Owen told her that I was his wife and not her employee. She left early, telling 2 aunts on the way out that a stranger had turned me against my own mother. I had 4 small bruises on my arm the next morning, 1 for each finger, and I covered them with a sleeve for a week so nobody would ask. I stopped answering her calls about money, and for 2 weeks the silence felt like freedom. But silence was never surrender with Sheila. It was planning. We were still unpacking boxes in the new place when Grant called me for the first time in months. Grant never called unless she told him to. He opened with, I heard about the wedding. Are you okay? He had never once in my life asked me if I was okay. Not when I worked 2 jobs to cover her rent. Not when I missed my own graduation to drive her to an appointment she could have moved. And something in me cracked open. I sat down on a box and told him everything. The grab, the marks, the demand at the altar, the whisper in my ear, 20 years of checks with his name on none of them. He was quiet the whole time, and that quiet felt like a gift, because nobody in my family had ever just listened to me before. Then he cleared his throat and said, yeah, Mom told me you would say all that. She said Owen has been coaching you to rewrite history. I pulled the phone away from my ear and stared at it. He kept going. She is alone, she cannot make her car payment, and you are over there playing house. I am not the one who promised to take care of her. You are. The concern had not been real. The listening had not been real. She had sent him because she knew I would not pick up for her, and she knew that if he sounded gentle enough I would open the door myself. I did. I told him everything, and the whole time he was collecting it. I said, I never promised her anything. She decided I owed her when I was a kid and did not know I was allowed to say no. That is not a promise. That is a trap. He said, you sound just like him now. I said goodbye and hung up, and my hands shook, but not from fear. They shook because I finally saw it. Sheila had not just controlled me. She had built a machine, and Grant was part of it. His job was to back her up when she needed muscle. My job was to pay. Owen found me on the floor with my back against the cabinets. He set the box down, kneeled next to me on the tile, and listened while I told him what Grant said. He did not get angry, and he did not defend himself. He said, you did not lose your brother today. You found out he was never on your side. That night I called Elise because she was the one who stood up in that aisle when nobody else moved. She picked up on the first ring, and that told me plenty. She did not waste time on small talk. Your mother has called me 3 times this week, and I am not the only one. She had been going down the family list like it was a job, in order, oldest to youngest, the way she used to work through her Christmas cards at the dining table with a pen and a list she kept in a drawer. Owen was controlling me. Owen was cutting me off on purpose. Owen had taken my phone away, which was why nobody had heard from me. I had cried at my own wedding because he forced me to go through with it. I stood at my counter holding the phone and could not speak for a moment. I had expected anger. I had expected more calls about the car note. This was not anger. This was a campaign, built piece by piece, person by person, and in it Owen was a monster, and I was a girl who needed saving. I asked Elise the only question that mattered. Does anyone believe her? She paused, and the pause said more than the answer did. The ones who were in that room saw her grab you. They saw me sit her down. Those people know. But the ones who were not there are hearing her version first, and your mother is very convincing when she cries. I had watched her cry her way through every argument of my life. She could turn it on like a faucet, and the second it started, whoever was watching forgot what she had done. I spent that night calling relatives, and every call made it worse. My uncle said, "Your mother is worried sick about you. Are you sure everything is okay at home?" The way he said at home made it clear what he was really asking. My cousin's voice went soft and careful, the way people talk to someone in a hospital, and she said, "If you ever need a place to stay, my door is open." A place to stay, like I was running from someone. They were not being cruel. They thought they were saving me. That was what made it impossible. The more I explained, the more I sounded exactly like a woman who had been coached to deny it, which is precisely what my mother had told them I would sound like. Owen came in and leaned against the counter and said, "You cannot fight her story with phone calls. She has been building this for weeks. You are trying to undo it in one night." He was right, and it did not help because I still did not know what else to do. If I stayed quiet, her version became the truth for everyone who had not been there. If I fought, I became the difficult daughter she had already described. Every move played into her hands, and she knew it, because she had been running this game longer than I had been alive. An hour later, Elise called back. Sheila was coming to my house that weekend with Grant to check on me in person. If you turn her away at the door, that is proof he is keeping you from your family. If you let her in and Owen is there, she will start something and then tell everyone he was aggressive. She has thought it all the way through. I had days, she had had a lifetime. So Owen and I stopped reacting and set the terms ourselves. I asked Elise to come at 10 that Saturday and sit at my dining table with a cup of coffee, because the one thing my mother could not survive was a witness she could not control. Grant knocked first, earlier than we expected, and said through the door that he wanted to talk to his sister alone, without him standing over her. I opened it myself so he would see that nobody was keeping me anywhere. He came in and looked around the house, and it was not a glance, it was an inspection, over the living room and the unopened boxes and down the hallway, like he had been handed a checklist. Then he saw Elise at the table and stopped cold. "What is she doing here?" I said, "She is family, same as you. Sit down." He did not sit. He paced. He told me our mother was not eating and could not pay her electric bill because I had cut her off. I said I had not paid her bills in 2 months and that it was my choice. He said, "So you are going to let her sit in the dark?" I asked him how much he had paid toward her bills in his entire life. He went quiet, and it was not the quiet of a man searching for a number, so I said it for him. 0. She never asked you for a dime. She asked me for everything, and you watched, and you never once said it was not fair. His jaw tightened. He said, "That is different. She needed you more." That sentence was the whole lie packed into 6 words. She needed me more because I was the one who could not say no. Then the front door swung open without a knock, and Sheila walked in like she still owned the place. Hair done, nice blouse, purse on her shoulder. Her eyes swept the room, found Grant, found me, and then found Elise sitting quietly at the table, and she froze. Half a second, maybe 2, but I saw it. Her plan had not included a witness. I watched her recalculate in real time. The tears came up, the quivering lip, the voice that cracked right on cue. "Oh, honey, I have missed you so much. Can we just talk? Just us?" Then she turned to Owen and went sweet. "You can give us a minute, right?" Owen said, "This is our home. I am staying." The softness dropped off her face like a coat sliding to the floor. She spun to Grant and pointed without looking. "You see? She cannot even speak to her own mother without his permission." She said it like she was addressing a jury. I stepped in before Grant could start nodding. "I did not ask him to stay. He is my husband and he lives here. You do not get to send him out of his own house." Her chin lifted, and she reached for the card she kept in her back pocket for moments when nothing else worked. "Your father left me, and now you are leaving me too. Is that the kind of woman you want to be?" My father leaving was a wound she kept open on purpose. Every time I pulled away, she opened it. It had worked every single time. I said, "Trent leaving was not my fault, and getting married is not the same as leaving you." I said it without crying. She stared at me, and something flickered behind her eyes, like a pilot light going out. She said she needed air and stepped outside with Grant, and I watched them through the window, her talking fast with her hands, him standing with his arms at his sides like a kid getting instructions before a test. That was when Elise put her hand on my arm, softly, and said she had to tell me something before they came back in. "Your mother called your grandmother this morning. She said that if you do not agree to help her financially, she is going to tell the whole family that Owen hit her at the reception." The floor turned to water under me. Owen never touched her. He told her I was his wife and not her employee, and she left, and that was the entire story. But a lie like that does not need proof. It needs to be said one time, by a crying mother, to one person who loves her. Then it becomes the thing people whisper at holidays. It becomes the reason he stops getting invited. It follows him for the rest of his life, no matter how many times we deny it. Owen heard every word of it. His face went still. He said quietly, "She would really do that?" It was not a question. I stood in my own house and thought, maybe I just pay the car note, just once. Just enough to keep the lie inside her mouth. I could feel the old habit pulling me like gravity, and I hated myself for it, because this was not about my pride anymore. It was about his name. Owen said, "If you pay her now, she learns that threats work, and next time, the lie will be bigger." I closed my eyes, because he was right, and being right did not make it any easier. Grant came back in alone. The anger was gone off him. He looked tired, like a man carrying something he did not know how to set down. He would not look at Owen. He said, "Can you just give her something? Anything. She will calm down if you show her you still care." I asked him if he knew what she was threatening to say. His eyes went to the floor. "She is just upset. She says things she does not mean." I asked if he knew what she was planning to tell Grandma. He turned his face to the window, where there was nothing to see but the front yard, and he did not answer. He knew, and he had walked into my house and asked me to pay her off anyway, because that was easier than telling his mother no. Then Sheila came back in, and she had dried her eyes. Her face was clean and calm. She did not ask if she could sit. She pulled out the chair across from Elise, folded her hands on my table like she was about to lead a prayer, and spoke in a measured voice. "I have given this family everything. All I am asking is that my daughter does not forget where she came from. So here is what is going to happen. You are going to put me back on your account the way it used to be, or I am going to start telling people the truth about what happened at that reception. And I I do not think Owen wants that. She turned her head and looked at him while she said it, so he would see the weapon before she decided whether to use it. I did not yell. I did not cry. I did the one thing I had never done in any argument with my mother in my life. I got calm. I set my phone face up on the table between us, like a card in a game she did not know we were playing. Then I turned away from her, to Elise, and I said, "You heard what she just said. She threatened to lie about Owen hitting her if I do not put her back on my bank account. Is that what you heard?" The room went so quiet I could hear the clock over the stove. Elise did not pause and did not soften it. She said, "That is exactly what she said." Sheila's smile did not fall. It flickered, like a candle in a draft. She had counted on me crying, or folding, or running to the bedroom. She had counted on Owen losing his temper so she could use it later. She had not counted on a witness answering out loud. She straightened up in the chair and said, "I did not say that. I said people might talk. I cannot control what people say." Lighter now, like we had all misunderstood something harmless. I shook my head. "You said you would tell people the truth about the reception. There is no truth to tell. Owen did not touch you. He told you I was his wife and not your employee, and you left. That is what happened. You are threatening to invent a crime, and Elise just heard you do it." I said each word like I was setting down bricks. Sheila turned to Elise with her palms open on the table. "You know me. I would never make something like that up. I am a mother who is scared of losing her daughter." But Elise had been sitting at that table for over an hour. She had watched her walk in without knocking, turn the tears on and off, try to send a man out of his own home, and use my father's name as a lever. She said, "Sheila, I love you, but I watched you grab that girl in the aisle. I watched you try to stop her wedding, and I am sitting here listening to you threaten her husband. I cannot pretend I did not hear it." Each sentence landed like a door closing. Sheila turned fast, away from her, and found Grant. "Grant, tell them I would not do this." I saw his lips part. I saw him start to shape a word. Then his mouth closed, and he looked down at the floor between his shoes and stayed there. He did not back her up, not because he had grown a conscience overnight, but because backing her now meant putting his own name on a lie in a room where every word could be repeated. Grant was a lot of things. He was not willing to go that far. Nobody in that room gave her what she needed. There was no rescue coming and no soft place to land. Her chin began to tremble, and this time it was not the practiced kind. Her face came apart. She put her head in her hands and cried in a way that sounded like it hurt, and she said through her fingers, "I am alone. Your father left and I raised you by myself, and now you are going too, and I do not know how to be alone." And I felt the pull, because I knew her fake tears better than my own real ones, and these were not that. It was the sound of a woman whose wall had come down while she was standing behind it with nothing. My hand actually moved a few inches across the table before I caught it. Owen was quiet behind me. Elise was quiet beside me. Neither of them told me what to do, and that was the thing that saved me, because for the first time in my life the choice was mine and nobody was holding my arm. I took a breath. I said, "Mom, I hear you, and I believe you are scared. But being scared does not give you the right to control my life or threaten my husband. I am not your bank account. I am not your retirement plan. I am your daughter, and I love you, and I am not paying for that love anymore. Not with money, and not with my marriage. If you want me, it starts with treating me like a person instead of a debt. And the threat ends today, because Elise heard you. And if that lie about Owen leaves your mouth to anyone, every person in this family is going to hear exactly what you said at this table." She lifted her head. Her eyes were red and her mascara had run in thin lines down her face. The look on her was not anger, and it was not the practiced sadness. It was emptier than both. It was the face of a woman who had reached for the lever that had worked for 20 years, pulled it, and felt nothing move. She did not apologize and she did not agree. She stood up, took her purse off the back of the chair, and walked out of my house without a word. Grant watched her go, then looked at me and said, "She is still our mom." I said, "I know. That is why it is hard." He pulled the door shut behind him. I waited for the guilt. It did not come. My phone stayed quiet for 3 weeks, and the silence did not feel like planning anymore. It felt like room. Then she called and asked if we could have lunch. Just us. No fighting. In a voice smaller than I had ever heard her use. I said yes. At the restaurant, she reached for the check first. I watched her hand shake and I let her pay.